And we'd like to welcome all of you to Conference USA Media Day. We're going to be talking with all the coaches today, both on the men's side and the ladies' side. We'll be talking about the upcoming season, what they have to look for, and the excitement that's building as Conference USA last year obviously had 7 teams go to the postseason. That is pretty good, and we've added a bunch of new teams this year. First of all, let's introduce, going to my left, first of all, he is the head coach of Charlotte, Alan Major, in his 4th year. He's going to be joining us. Also joining us today, Anthony Evans, head coach at FIU, and Mike Jarvis, also joining us today, one of the new members of Conference USA from Florida Atlantic. Mike, I want to start off the questions with you. You're coming in, you have 3 starters returning, you lost 3 of your top 4 scorers. Where do you find those points now on your team?
Anywhere I can. To be honest with you, what I hope is that we'll find them throughout the team. I mean, it's the great thing about basketball, it's a team game. There's one ball. If you share it and guys make a decent amount of shots, guess what? I'm hoping we can find it from every position, to be very honest with you.
What about adjusting to Conference USA? Because there's a lot of new teams. This will be obviously Florida Atlantic's first year playing basketball. What is the adjustment process in this?
Well, first of all, I think anybody new coming into the league, if they could tell you, if they could answer that honestly, they'd probably be they'd be lying to you. I really won't know honestly what Conference USA is all about probably until the first time we've gone around the league. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, it's probably going to be more about me finding out what my own team is about, to be honest with you. But I'm really excited about it. I think that anytime you go into something new and you start taking on new teams, new coaches, there's new challenges, and I'm looking forward to it.
The one stat that stood out for me on your team, Coach, was the fact that opponents only shot 41%. You stress defense. You've always stressed defense your entire career. Are you seeing that kids today, because they see the dunks, they see everything else, are they buying into defense?
No.
But I'll ask these guys the same question. So.
No, but that's why they got us. A coach's job is to really try to get kids to do what they don't want to do. And one of the things that they don't want to do, I must face it, is play defense. Defense is the one part of our game that is truly team. It's 5 guys against the basketball. And, offense 2-on-2, 1-on-1, 3-on-3. Defense is 5 against 1. And it's really difficult because you're asking guys to basically sacrifice, give of themselves, and to be there for each other. And as we know, in all facets of society, that's a very difficult thing to do.
And you've got a couple of outstanding players that are going to be back. Dragon as one, Pablo another. Talk about the players, specifically those 2 guys, and what they bring to the team.
Well, first of all, Pablo Petroni has been with me. He's been 4th year now. He's one of our captains. And he has shown tremendous growth and maturity. I watched the playoffs last year in Ginobili, and Ginobili would have great games and then horrific games. And Pablo Petroni, I would tell him that when he was playing bad, it was like Ginobili on a bad day. He and I, it took us 4 years, I think, for him to understand what he's got to do. He's finally understanding that. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. He has learned how to let the game come to him. I'm expecting big things from him. Dragan Sekelcha is, you're talking about 7-foot, 260-pound guys. Now, that's before breakfast. Yeah. Who is one of the best passers, big men passers that I've ever coached. He hasn't really played up to his potential yet. And I'm hoping this is the year because he's going to really need to now that we're in Conference USA.
Point guard position.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, since Alex Tucker, I used to have a kid by the name of Ray Taylor, were with me. We really haven't had a true point guard. Last year we played point guard by committee. I had everybody. In fact, if my wife could have dressed up, I would have played her. But this year what we've got is we've got 2 freshmen. Which some coaches would say, it's suicide. I don't believe so. We got 2 really good freshman point guards. Marquand Bartley out of Texas and DeAndre Johnson out of Detroit. I think they're going to give us, between the 2 of them, we are going to have one really good point guard. And we'll have some leadership that we've been lacking the last couple of years. And I'm not afraid that they're freshmen because they played against the best players in the country all through their high school career. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys develop.
Do you have to cut back your offensive package when you have a freshman point guard a little bit?
Well, something that's really funny. I think we all are guilty most of the time of overcoaching, and I think most of us, if we did ourselves and the kids a favor, we would cut back our offensive packages, period. So what it does for me is it really allows me to do what I'm supposed to do, is to teach the kids how to make plays and not how to run plays. And that's what I'm trying to do with the freshmen, just trying to teach them, how to play basketball, how to space the floor, know when to shoot, when to drive, when to pass, the way the game is supposed to be played, so it's an instinctive game. So in a way, yeah, I cut back, but I think that's the way it should be anyhow.
I'd be remiss in our final question, and coaches never want to talk about this in all my years, but 4 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest coach.
Well, if I had a couple of 100 wins, I think that'd be great. But
I wasn't going to say how many, Coach.
No, and see, that's yeah, that's nice, but it really doesn't mean a whole lot. I'd say the stat, if you want to go about wins away, would probably be I'm 30-something wins away from, being the coach of another 100-win program. That, to me, is a goal that I'd like to reach more, so I'm not worried about the 4 wins. 4 wins only gets me to 70. I've been there a long time to have 70. I'm kind of, I was used to winning 70 games in maybe 2.5 years. So, but you mentioned it, so I tried to answer it the best that I could.
I had to.
One
final question, miss TV, doing TV?
You know what, I don't miss doing studio, even though someday I might be begging to get a studio job again. I miss doing the color. It's the second best thing to coaching, to be able to analyze a game with a guy like yourself, and I've worked with some great guys, and to be able to sort of like put on the coaching hat. And I used to do it through the coach's eyes, so I enjoyed that, and I always tried to make sure that I made the coaches look as good as they could, because we need as much help as we can get.
Best of luck this year, Coach.
Thank you.
Let's talk with Alan Major, now the head coach of Charlotte. Charlotte, obviously, no stranger to Conference USA. Back when Conference USA first got underway, they were very much a part of it. Coming off a pretty good season, 21 wins, NIT berth. What do you think?
Well, it was a fun year. The A-10 was a special conference, especially last year. The parity was unlike anything I've seen in a long time between Butler, Xavier, VCU, Dayton, Temple, Richmond. I mean, every night it was a dogfight. You could play well and lose by 10 last year. So, but to take a step forward and get to the postseason, I'm very proud of our guys for that, and hopefully we can continue to grow.
I've always noticed there's a correlation between how relaxed coaches are in the preseason to how many starters are returning. You've got 4 starters returning. How comforting is that to you?
Well, comforting on paper, but guys still have to play, and guys still have to grow and get better. So I don't think anything is entitled to us for that reason. We want to continue to take a humility approach and know that every game you've got to go out and earn it. And, to have experience is great. We're very fortunate to have some young guys that played a lot last year, and the game taught them, even probably more so than our coaching staff. I think the game's the greatest teacher. And so the fact that some guys got some experience and got their feet wet is good, but now, it's time to grow and take that next step. So to have experience is good, but we want to continue to keep the heat on and keep getting better.
I look at your roster, the one thing that stands out, obviously, 1 senior on your roster, transfer Ben Cherry comes in. So this is a relatively young basketball team.
Yeah, we had some losses in the spring. We had Chris Braswell, was a pretty capable scorer for us, who graduated and had a couple of transfers, as I'm sure these guys on the inside of me can attest to. I mean, that's become an unfortunate part of college basketball. It's hard to get old in college basketball for that reason. I mean, the days of having teams where you have 4 seniors and 3 juniors. You don't find that on rosters much anymore because of the attrition at times on rosters. So, but I'm excited. I mean, I think Ben is, even though he's a senior, he's a guy from Tulane that's got experience, and he's an older guy, is secure in his game, and he's a great glue guy. The kids took to him right away.
Henry can be an impact player. How important is it for him to play to that level, and what makes his game so special?
Well, he just his foundation is based on toughness, and when games, we all know as coaches, games aren't always the prettiest. There's times we'd like to stand over there and tap ourselves on the back if it is going pretty, but it's not always pretty. But Perry is such a tough kid, and he just has a way of imposing his will on whatever situation we're in. Could be We need a stop on a score. It could be a late game situation. It could be you need a big defensive stop. He's just got a great toughness, and he's the heart and soul of our team. And the way he plays, it's very contagious.
I always am intrigued how coaches build, and I think Mike's gone through this, all of you guys have gone through this, of building a program, not just building wins and losses, but building a culture. I look at you in your program, you've increased your win total every year. Are you building that culture that these guys now go in saying, peer pressure, guys, we've got to work hard, we expect to win? Has it gotten to that point?
I believe so. You hope so. As coaches, you always try to avoid being prideful and feeling like you've arrived. I don't think any of us have ever, wake up and you say you've arrived. You're in the constant state of trying to keep growing. But I think when our freshmen come in, they know that there's an expectation that you've got to take responsibility for your own game and for your own development. Just being here and putting on a uniform isn't going to develop you. You've got to get to the gym at night. Obviously, you got to do the things away from us as a staff to grow. So the thing that's neat is some of the older guys, and especially in practice, I notice them trying to help the younger guys more, whether it's learn how to be in the right spot in a defensive drill, or the young guy screws up a passing drill and they say, all right, stop, do it again, rookie. So those things are encouraging to see.
You're playing in a very prestigious tournament in November, the Puerto Rican Shootout, and I look at the field there, and it's all 8 teams. We're either in the NCAA or the NIT.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a way to start your year.
It's loaded. I mean, you're going to get a great game. Any team down there is going to get a great game any direction you turn. So I'm very excited about that because, you want to know as coaches at certain points of the year, you need those litmus tests of just finding out where you stand. So to be down there and have 3 games in 4 days, it'd be a great challenge. But I think we're going to learn a lot from that. And so looking forward to it.
Well, I talked about the history of Charlotte, 7 NCAA tournaments in 10 seasons in Conference USA. I asked Mike this question, I'll ask you. Coming into a new conference, it's new hotels, new airports. It's a lot of stuff people don't really realize besides the X's and O's. How is that transition?
Well, the ops guys have had an interesting summer, to say the least. They've been on the phone with some teams that have either maybe left the league to get some insight on where to eat, where to sleep, how to fly in, all those little issues. And I would probably echo Coach Jarvis's sentiment. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time on the other teams, maybe just a little bit. You get so focused on your own team and how you can put the ball in the basket or get a stop or score one more point than your opponent. So you don't get too caught up in the other teams. But there's a lot of challenges, different road trips. For our fans, I'm excited because there's more road trips that our fans can get to in the A-10. Unfortunately, our closest road game, as Coach would know, being in the A-10, was Richmond. And so for our fans, it really kind of chopped off that road experience for them. And so in the A-10, the fact that they can get in their cars and follow us, hopefully it'll create a couple more rivalries. Right.
I got the food places, by the way. I got that down, all right?
I'm going to get the list before
that's not a problem here. I didn't get this girlish figure by eating health food. Coach, best of luck to you this season.
Thank you, Ron.
Joining us now is Anthony Evans, a new head coach at FIU. First season.
Yes.
Overwhelming?
Not really. Exciting. Extremely exciting going into a new league, coming from the MEAC. There are a lot more teams, great coaches, great players, and just exciting, very, very exciting.
Back-to-back 21 seasons at Norfolk State. Yep. The expectations for you, I'm sure, are high. Have you expressed that to the players, and do the players know what you did prior to this?
They knew. I think they know from practice. We had a chance to go out to Spain this summer, and they spent 10 days with me. So I think they know my passion for the game. I think they know my expectations. So, things are going pretty well.
Why FIU? What intrigued you about the job?
It's a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful Florida. You have to love Miami. Come on. I mean,
see, these guys got it down.
Yeah. So it's a great place. I fell in love with it. I went for it a year before I got the job. So once it became open again, Coach Pitino went to Minnesota. I put my call back in, and things worked out this time.
What is the hardest part of being a head coach?
Just managing.
Not necessarily basketball, but as Pat Riley used to call them, peripheral opponents.
Well, just the management of the kids, getting them to do the things you want them to, because there's so many hats you have to wear. You have to be a father figure, things of that nature. So you're trying to raise men, not just basketball players. You know, you're trying to teach them values for when they go out after basketball is over to be productive fathers, good husbands, good citizens.
Tymel Murphy, what have you seen from him that you like, and what does he need to work on for this coming season?
Well, his passion for the game. He's one of the first guys at practice, always working hard. I love that about him. You know, obviously he's an athletic kid. He gets to the basket. Very unorthodox for a left-hander. He makes tough shots look easy. I think his perimeter game is something that he's working on, much improved. In one of the games in Valencia, I think he hit 4 3-point shots. So he's shown that he's working on it, and it's good for him, his overall game.
You lost the team's second leading scorer, top assist man, and you have 4 transfers coming in from 3 different teams.
Right.
How's that meshing process working?
Well, again, I think Spain was important because they had a chance to play. Our first game was a little ugly out there, but you know that happens when you have so many new guys. And I think as we come back, they start to understand what we're trying to do. You know, we talk about the process of doing things a certain way, and we want the guys to play together. We want them to play hard, and they're buying into that.
You tough opponents, 2 tough opponents you'll face. You're going to be on national TV also on both games. Florida Gulf Coast, then Louisville.
I think you forgot about South Carolina and Georgetown as well.
I got them coming up. First of all, was your AD thinking when he scheduled these people?
I don't know who did it, but we won't talk.
But playing the national champion, how special is that for your team?
Oh, it's an honor. It's an honor, of course. There was a deal where they came to us. We're going to go back to them next year, so it'll be a home and home again. Having them come to FIU would be a great thing. It'll be great for our fans, for our players, and again, coaching against Coach Pitino, Senior, will be an honor. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask each of the coaches, and I'll start with Mike and work our way around. Final question for everybody: what would you change about the game right now, be it rule-wise, recruiting-wise? Broad stroke question. What do you think you would change? What's one thing that when you get together with the coaches, you say, guys, we need to do this? What would it be?
That's a great question. You know, what I would probably change or try to change has more to do with what happens off the court. What I think needs to happen is I think that, and this just doesn't go for my school, I think it goes for every school. I think we need to find out more and better ways to support our student athletes in their academic pursuits by really building up and really making our academic support programs maybe the best thing about our program. You know, they're not worrying so much about facilities. Maybe the academic support center is the first facility we ought to be concerned about.
I don't think you'd get a disagreement. Coach?
I don't know how you get a grip on it, but just I think if there's a way to get a fence around the transfer situation, I think that would make the game better. You know, I think it would maybe add a little bit more stability to college basketball. And I understand there's isolated situations where kids may have to go for certain reasons, but it's become almost epidemic now. And you know, unfortunately, it makes it very difficult for coaches to sustain themselves when you're in a constant state of flux on your roster.
Kevin?
Well, I think the rules committees have done a great job in trying to make the game better, but I think at a level where we can improve skill so that we're not just changing the game to increase offense, but we're trying to increase skill, which will help the overall of the basketball.
Gentlemen, I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more coaches coming up in just a little bit.